Hi, thank you for joining my video this week. My name is Beth Ann of Beth Ann Stamps, and today we're going to be working with a few products out of the mini catalog that was going January from June. The two main stamp sets I'm going to be using are the Brave Viking. I just think they are so cute, and the Gentle Waves. So let me show you the card that we're going to be making. This is the card. It simply says, "Happy birthday, you've conquered another year." And I wanted my little Viking to look like he was on the beach. He's come in and conquered. And then I've left the inside blank to write my note. You can find these products, as I said, in the mini catalog that runs through the end of June. The first thing that we're using is on page 45, Gentle Waves. And then the Vikings, you can find those on page 73. Let's go ahead and get started with these. So my card base is cut of Sahara sand, and it is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and the insert, of course, is 4 by 5 1/4. And these dimensions will all be in a link to the coordinating blog in the description below. So you don't have to worry too much about keeping up with that. So the first thing I want to do is I'm starting with a piece of basic white, and I want to stamp that beach wave sky type scene on the front. So I've taken my basic white and I've put it in my Stamparatus. Now I have a couple of glue dots holding this down because since this is a full background stamp, I can't really put magnets on here, and I may have to stamp it more than once. So I just wanted to make sure that this didn't move, and I'm not worried about that. I can peel that up. It's not going to hurt the back of my card since I'm going to be mounting it down. So how I want to do this, though, is I want to use 3 different inks, and I'm going to do Sahara Sand for the beach. I'm going to use Night of Navy next for the sort of the wave action here, and then move into Balmy Blue to resemble the sky a little. So I'm also going to bring in some sponge daubers and then some full sheet sticky notes. I don't know if you've seen these, but the whole back is sticky. So that'll help me to get the different areas. So for the first one, I'm just going to come in here to the bottom where I figure the beach is, and I'm going to put on some Sahara sand. Now, I don't want any to get up here where the sky is. So this is where I'm going to bring in my Post-it notes. And I'm going to put that there because this section in the middle, again, I want that Night of Navy. So I'm going to bring that in here. Okay. And then I'll remove those, and I'm going to bring in the Balmy Blue. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, and the reason I have my sponge daubers with me, is I don't want harsh edges. So I'm going to come back in here with some Sahara sand and just sort of smooth that out a little. I'll do the same thing with the Night of Navy, and I'll do that up here at the top too, where it's going into the Balmy Blue. Just sort of rub that around. That sort of helps with those harsh cut lines. All right, let me move these and close them. And then we're just going to put this down and put some pressure. I need to get myself an eraser. I saw somebody using an eraser from a dry erase board to help get some even pressure. See, I'm not getting that center. Okay. We are getting there. I may have to re-ink a little bit. There we go. I do want a little bit more here in this middle. It blurred out a little too much. So let me go back in here, and I'll use the sponge dauber for this. Get some of that in there. And then we'll get some of that Sahara sand. Let's see how that's going to do. Right along this section. I think we're good. Okay, so let me move these out of the way. Close up my ink. I'll pop that off. Those glue dots are really sticking, but like I said, it's not going to hurt the back since that's going to be put down on a card. I'm going to throw a paper towel in there to absorb some of that ink while it sits. Okay. So now that we have that, the next thing I need is I wanted to do this frame sort of like it was a picture. So I've pulled in the stitched rectangle dies. You get 13 of these dies in a set. And what I've done is I've taken the largest and the next to the largest, and I've put them on some Night of Navy and spaced them out as evenly as I could. And then I just used some Post-it tape that you can pick up at any office supply store or Walmart. And I'm holding those in place. And I'm going to run this through the Stamparatus here to cut this up. Or Stamparatus, I apologize. The Stampin' Cut Embossing Machine. All right. Probably shaking the whole table here. There we go. So now just pull some of this Post-it note tape off. Okay. Now, sometimes you can save the tape and reuse it, but that has been used for a while. And then with this method also, you'll end up with this one in the middle. And I can use this on another card. So I'll put that in my stash. I will not get rid of that one. Okay. Here we go. Let's move this out of the way. Now, this, of course, is smaller than my background image, so I am going to trim this down. This is actually about 5 2/8 by about 3, well, not quite 3 7/8. Okay, so then I'm going to cut this just a little bit smaller. I'm going to take it off of this side, and then I think I'll take it off of the sky. Well, you know what? We're going to take a little off of both sides. I'm going to take a little bit off. Let's see. Is that small enough? Nope. Just a tad more. I don't want to go too small because then it won't fit the frame. But I think this will do it. Yes. All right. Move my trimmer out of the way. So then I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and put it close to the edge here. Glue gives us that little wiggle room we need. Okay, and I can put this now down on the front of my card. And we have our beach scene with the frame ready to fill in and decorate. There we go. So then what I did was I stamped out my images, right? And I colored them. Now, I will be honest with you. The first thing I picked up to try were the blend markers. Now, maybe for you, blends will work fine. I just found it to be too much for my personal taste. So I switched from that because I think these are sort of small with a lot of detail in them. So for me, I pulled in my watercolor pencils, colored pencils. And so that's what I colored these with. But I did want to get some shading just like you would get from your blends, especially on the Viking. The ship, not so much. It's in the background, so I just sort of went with it solid. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of how I did this to get some shading on here. Now, I am not a professional color. These are just some things that I have picked up along the way that I thought I would share. So on his helmet and his shield and the knife, I started with basic gray and basic black. So I simply come in. Let me see if didn't mean to dump that so much, but let me see if I can get you a little closer here for this. So I start and color the full area that I'm going to be working on in the lightest color. And then I come in with the next color that I want to blend with that. And I'll start at the bottom here because that's where I want it to be darker and color it up part of the way. And then again, I come back with my lightest color and I'm going to go over the whole thing again and try to hit that area so that I get that nice blend in the middle. You can come back if you want to and put some extra little details in black there. Now, with colored pencils, you can only get so much of that pigment onto the paper before it quits putting on the paper. So be careful how many layers you do. Now you'll notice the little guy here, there's two different shades. One was a darker beard, and this time I went with that lighter, more orange red type. So for this, what I did, I started with a pumpkin and colored the area lightly. And then I came back in with a Calypso coral, and that was my darker, and worked that way. This one was Cajun Craze. And then the same thing with the browns, right? I came in with a crushed curry, colored the whole thing in with that light crushed curry. And then I'm looking for early espresso. Got that dark. I did this on the boat too, but I filled it in completely. So it had that light undertone. Now, also, if you don't want to see those harsh lines, I didn't want to put water to this because the water, of course, being a water pencil, would really change the effect. But I wanted to smooth out some of the lines, so I actually brought in my Gamsol that I use for other colored pencils that I use. And I just went over it a little. Take off some of the, and then that sort of helps smooth out those lines. Now, like I said, I am not a professional color. If you're looking for more information, I would suggest watching Jennifer Stay from Coloring Bliss. She's a phenomenal artist and teaches a lot about colorings and different mediums. You can find her on YouTube. So that's how I did my coloring, and then I fussy cut them out. I thought that was fun. So for the boat, since it is in the background, I am just going to glue them completely down. Let me see. I'm going to back out a little more. Okay. We'll just glue this down. I enjoy coloring. I do find it extremely relaxing. I want to get the tip of that up right to there. Now, when I cut out the boat, I did leave a little white edge everywhere except the bottom where the dark line was. I wanted it to appear that it was in the water. So I cut that out right on the line. For my little guy here, I'm going to pop him up on dimensionals. I know it looks like a lot of dimensionals, doesn't it? But I want to make sure he's secure in case I decide to mail this. So I'm gonna, whoop. I just wanted to grab some of these and get it up here on his sword. And then I'll cut this and put it on the horns of his helmet. Whoop. I think Vikings are very popular right now. There was that series on the History Channel, Vikings, that a lot of people were watching, and I think they're coming out with a continuation to that. But this little guy is retiring, so he'll be available from that catalog through the end of June or while supplies last. So, all right, we're going to pop him right down there. And then I always save these little half-inch strips. You know, they always come off our white when we're cutting down for our inside pieces. So I just stamped in Night of Navy. So I'm just going to trim this up and cut it in a banner to get that straight. So I did, since he is retiring, I wanted to take some time and play with him. I just think he's so cute. And then I'm going to do this with dimensionals also. So I'm just going to take this outer piece. Got to use every piece of those dimensionals, don't we? No waste. I'm just going to put it right there. And so this is a pretty simple card. You can stamp out a bunch of little images and then sit and color those while you're watching TV or listening to a book, as I do in my case sometimes. And then I'm going to bring in the metallic pearls, and I'm going to use the silver. And I'm looking for my pick a tool. Oh, there we go. And I'm just going to use these in the middle of the shield. And then on the boat, in the center of these 3 little shields that are hanging over the sides. There we go. And that was it for this week. A very simple card. And I did want to show you that you can get some nice shading with your colored pencils as well as you can with your blends. And as I said, personal preference really for me, I think I can get a little more detail in these smaller areas than I can with the blends. Though, you know me, I also love the blends. So I love that we have options. We have the Stampin' Write markers we can use. We have the alcohol blends, and we have the colored pencils. So we have a full arsenal of tools that we can use to get different results. So as always, I thank you for watching my video this week. I truly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate if you could hit that like button and that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. And there will be links in the description below to the coordinating blog with all the items that I used in this project. So thank you very much and have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.